Hey y'all, it's Vhannah. This is the second part of Mentorship. We're hoping that you are encouraged by the conversation that I have with one of my mentors and that you enjoy it and you take away something today, and that you feel encouraged. Enjoy.
No, I want to flip the script on you on your show.
Okay.
Who mentored you, and how has it helped you?
Okay, so you are one of my mentors, and you did help me because you helped me realize that sometimes the 9 to 5 doesn't need to be the center of our life. I think the issue was in my mind, I thought that was what it was for me. You taught me that the label was not the goal. You told me that, just because it's CBS or an ABC or Good Morning America, that doesn't mean necessarily that's kind of the end all be all.
Is that the day I made you cry?
Yes, that was it.
That
was actually the first conversation we had, guys. I knew from there that Charles wasn't going anywhere. He just made me cry in the middle of New York City. But yeah, no, that day you did make me kind of realize, because Vhannah's Corner was a thought. I wasn't moving on it. As you know, it was my sister and my boyfriend that came up with the idea. And I piggybacked off it and we kind of embellished it. And then I came and I told you and Dimitri. And then you guys would not stop at work asking me about this thing. And I'm just kind of like...
Because this is what you said to me, at least. I don't know what you said to him. You said to me, I want to write entertainment pieces for celebrities and follow trends. I said, why aren't you doing it? Oh, because I haven't got my job at ABC, CBS, or NBC yet. What does that have to do with all the tea in China? If you're a writer, you write. If you're a voiceover person, you do voiceover. If you production, you do production. In my basement and garage is full of production stuff. Cameras, equipment, all kind of stuff. Because this is what I do.
That's true.
You have to, just like they used to tell you back in the day, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. You have to do the job you want, preparing for the job you'll get down the road. You have to prepare every day for that. And that's what mentorship is all the time. In my Journey to Manhood documentary that's coming out soon, Hill Harper talks about circles. Who's in your circle? Because if you have everybody in your circle who's not as smart as you are, you cannot grow. It's impossible for you to grow. You have to have people pushing you to the point where they will make you cry. They will make you feel bad at times. They may listen to this podcast and say, this is crap. Don't look at it as a criticism necessarily. What can I do better? Now, if they're just telling you it's crap, there's no value to you. Now, if they listen to the podcast and say, you know what? I think you could do this a little longer, or don't cut it off so soon, or do this. Now, that's somebody who's investing in Vhannah.
Got you.
And the show. They're showing you how to make this show better. And that's what you want people in your circle. How do these people serve me? That's in my circle.
And I think that was tough for me at first when we first started speaking about this. When I would send you the videos, I was kind of like, dag, you're harsh with these criticisms. But I feel like I understood that it wasn't you just saying, this is crap. It was kind of like, all right, you can turn this to this angle, you can use this microphone, or you may not even need this. I don't know why you think you need this. So it's kind of like, I felt like you were specific with telling me what I needed to do. And also, it wasn't like a need thing. You kind of left it up to me still. Like you said, we're young people and we kind of take things with a grain of salt sometimes. So I feel like I took your advice, but still kind of making things my own. And I feel like that's important.
Well, one of the things I did say on a positive note, I said, even though I'm giving you all these tools, I don't want to change the real you. I want you to be authentic. I want you to be young. I want you to be hip. And remember I told you, I say, sometimes I look at it from my perspective, who's been 35, 40 years in the business.
That's true.
And I realize the business has changed by leaps and bounds since I started in the business. And sometimes you have to look at it, because at one point you wouldn't have wires and microphones sitting in. That was a no-no. You get fired for that. But now this is really the norm now. To see the wires, to see the cameras, the lighting is not perfect. Maybe just a 2-shot the whole time, that kind of thing. Because it's not about the production. It's about what you're saying. If people are interested in what you have to say. Now, of course, you don't want things to be... What do I always tell you also? People will forgive you for bad video, but they will never forgive you for bad audio. Because if I can't hear you, I'm going to tune you out. So you want to make sure, and that's when I'm mentoring young boys or young women about production, about doing something. Try to this is what I was told as a young man. Be the best that you can at anything you do. And you cannot be denied. I made up my first job at my second position at the station I was at.
Okay.
Because there was nobody storing the tapes and keeping up with the library. Because tapes were stored in like a library of videotapes. So I made that job up, and they said, well, we got to hire you because we need somebody to do this. And that's what you want to do. You want to always go into a situation where look for the need.
Okay.
And how do I fill that need? And people will find money for you.
Okay.
And that's when, anytime, if you notice at the job you and I were at, I always gravitate to the young people. And the second question after I ask, who are you? I ask them, what do you want to do? Do you really want to do this? Because if you really don't want to do something, decide if it's going to be a hobby or if it's going to be a career.
Yeah.
Because remember, those are two different things. A hobby, you do it when you want to do it, how you want to do it. You get with your girls, you get with your boys, and you play.
Yeah.
But if it's a career, you're looking at projections. Okay, I want to do 6 podcasts this season. Next season, I want to do 12. How far do I want those podcasts to reach? Who I want them to reach?
Yeah.
What kind of advertising dollars can I bring in? Because now it's about making money.
Yeah.
And it's about consistency. Remember I told you?
Yeah.
You can't do a podcast in January and do another one in June.
I know.
You're not a big enough name for that.
Yeah.
So you have to have consistency. So that's all about mentorship. And I think sometimes in my generation, we're so afraid of young 20-year-olds. We're afraid to tell them anything. And I'm not, as you know.
I know you're not.
I don't care. Because it's my job.
Yeah.
Somebody literally took me by my hand as a young man who was shy, introverted, and all the rest of the things that go along with that. And said, listen to me, and I will guide your career. And remember, this is now 2 Emmy Awards later, Lifetime Achievement Award, Edward R. Murrow Award. I've gotten all of those awards from a kid who said 5 words from the 1st grade to the 11th grade. And I'm doing this in communications. So tell me what God or the universe can't do if you listen to the right person, because your circle is important. And I think sometimes we get caught up in what we look like. And I remember these young men was having a conversation with me one day. This is about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. This is what you don't understand is my digital life is more important than my real life. Because people don't know my real life. I can make up my life online.
That's true. That is true. And
But my question to him was, isn't that like catfishing? Because when people find out the truth,
yeah, okay.
then what happens?
That's true. It just doesn't end well.
And then remember, I don't think I told you this story. I hired a young 24-year-old at the other job I was at, paid him $65,000 a year. Resume looked flawless. Once he started to do the job, he could do nothing. But instead of me just saying, okay, I'm sorry, I meant to fire you.
Yeah.
Now that's when the mentor hat comes on, right? And I literally told him, I said, look, I'm going to take off my hat as your boss. And I'm going to put on my hat as a father figure. Because you're 24 years old. I don't want you to have fired on your record. So I want you to resign this position, return the laptop, and then I want you to start practicing editing and producing if you want to do this. Because remember, editors are a dying breed. Everybody can edit now. And I was trying to tell them, I don't hire editors anymore. I hire people who produce, who know how to tell stories. Because if there's no story, like with this podcast, if there's no story to tell, this is a waste of our time. Everybody's time here. But if you have something to say it. But if you don't have anything to say, shut it down. And you have to do that as a mentor. And me being at the age I'm in, if I don't have anything to bring to the table to a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, or even a 40-year-old, what have I done with my life?
That's true. Because like you said, it kind of dies with you.
It dies with you. And you can't go back, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Can you get the brain out of his head? I need that. No, you got to pass that knowledge on right now, every single day. And one thing about me, I listen. I tell this funny story all the time. And these older women at the church, because they're in the late 70s, early 80s. And sometime after church, I will sit and talk to them for an hour. And I've always done this with older people. Because that's where I got my phrase from, you can borrow wisdom opposed to waiting until you acquire it over time. And they asked me one day, why do you sit here and ask us all these questions? Because I'm stealing from you guys. I go around my age group, which is 50, 60, or 40, and they think I'm brilliant. Oh, how do you know that? I said, don't worry about it. I know that. I got my circle.
Okay.
See, my circle is good. And that's why I tell young men and young women, but mostly I'm mentoring young men, you have to have an eclectic circle. Mm-hmm. You got to have those people that you go talk to who are 50 and 60, as well as your boys who are 20. Because, come on, think about something. If you only talking to your 20-year-olds, that's a firing squad. That's a circle. Girl, let me tell you. Yeah. Man, let me tell you. What are you going to tell me at 20 and I'm 20?
That's true.
Because a funny story. At my last job that I spent a long time at, the boss was giving me a hard time. But because I raised my voice all the time, you know who it looked like I was causing the problem? It looked like I was causing the problem. Yeah. And one of my mentors at the job said, Charles, the problem is that we know it's her. We can't do anything about it right now, but we're working on it. But because you're always being disruptive in the newsroom, everybody's pointing the finger at you.
You told me the loudest voice sometimes is just it just doesn't look well for whoever the loudest person is.
And what do I always say to females, in which this gets me in trouble with females? I have 5 sisters. And when they were younger, in their 20s and started in dating and stuff, I say, stop screaming at these men. Because you know what happens when you start screaming at men?
They go away.
Click! We tune you out. You know the scariest thing for men? And you can ask your boyfriend that. If you talk to men in a calm voice, say what you got to say and leave it at that, that scares the hell out of us. Because now we got to think.
Okay.
What is she thinking about? What is she doing?
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Even with anybody, when you start screaming and yelling, you become out of control. But if you say what you have to say and you move on and mean it, because you can't do it on Monday and do something else on Tuesday.
That's true.
You have to have some kind of consistency when it comes to teaching and mentoring, because I can't tell young men, hey, treat women with respect, and the next thing they see me at some place doing something that I shouldn't be doing.
Kettle black. Yep.
You can't do that, because if you're a mentor, which we all are, don't let's not get it twisted. I don't believe in the Charles Barkley thing. I'm not a mentor. No, we're all mentoring. Anytime we're living, we're teaching or we're learning, and sometimes we're doing both at the same time.
That's true.
So we have to really be aware of what we're doing and how we're doing it, because there's somebody's watching you right now doing this Vhannah's podcast and going either I want to do it or I don't want to do it. I want to be like her. Now you 20-something, you probably who cares about what I'm doing? I'm trying to find myself. But there's a 13-year-old, there's a 14-year-old, there's somebody, or maybe it's another 27-year-old. Well, if she can do it, I remember when she couldn't even pass her math test. If she can do it, I can do it. That's how people look at you. That's what I was about to tell you in part 1 of this podcast. I graduated from college in 83, 84. So I went to this high school in Houston to teach. To help a friend of mine teach, because she didn't really know how to teach communication. So I was teaching production in the class.
Yeah, I did.
And fast forward 10 years later, you know who taps me on the shoulder? Roland Martin. Who told me, Charles, you inspired me in that class. I forgot who he was. Everybody knows him as Roland Martin today. Yeah. But he was a 17-year-old kid in that class. Now, what if I had never gone into that class to do a favor for a friend of mine? Yeah. Because I listen to knowledge and I listen to words, because words are so important. I remember a preacher telling me, a preacher in the pulpit said something. He said, sometimes we pray for, oh God, give me that career, give me that job. And God will start planning it. But what we want is, tell me how it ends. God doesn't work like that. God said, go to the stop sign. When you get to the stop sign, I will tell you your next move. But a lot of us don't have patience for that. We want to go, well, what's happening at the stop sign? Maybe I don't want that. Yeah. Well, maybe you don't want the career. So we have to think about stuff like that.
Well, I just learned that. So, and I feel like you kind of taught me, I already knew that, obviously I know God makes no mistakes. And I feel like at first I was kind of questioning myself with my last job. And I feel like meeting you, I know it couldn't have been a wrong stop. Like you were telling me, I was kind of like second guessing myself. Like, oh my God, did I move too soon? What should I have done? And you kind of made me realize that God kind of prepares us for these moments. And even in the slightest moments, or the smallest amount of time, or the time when we think it's the darkest moments, are kind of the most important. And I definitely feel like it is in this case, because if I did not come here, Vhannah's Corner wouldn't exist. I would have never questioned it. I would have just kept going on the route of writing. And now I'm doing what you said as well. I found a way to fulfill myself in writing. I write for the hip hop website, FM Hip Hop. I created my own place where I could produce and ask questions, and now I'm moving on to something else, and I feel like that definitely, in that case, my challenges have definitely defined who I am now at 26, and I can only imagine what's going to happen when I'm like 60 something or 70 something. So I just feel like, I'm just saying, it's the things that we sometimes think are like the worst moments are sometimes the best moments, because they literally make us who we are.
I'm going to tell you this story, which I just told a friend of mine, because she called up and said, I want to do voiceovers again. When I was younger, around your age, I used to do voiceovers all the time. My voice was totally trained. But then I just let it go because I didn't think it was important, didn't let it go. But then I said, I might want to get my voice trained again. It's not where it needs to be right now, but it's getting there. So I started doing all the announcements at church. So they came to me and said, can you just put video to these pictures and stuff, we can put it up and say happy birthday to people or say congratulations. So I said, you mind if I voice over? So I've been voicing them over for a year now. Now I just got hired to do voiceovers for a major company. So you don't know what you're doing for free right now will lead to a paid gig. When you told me you were writing for all
the hip hop website.
The hip hop website. What did I say? Okay, I need somebody to write for me. When people know what you're doing, they will hire you. But sometimes you have to. What's the other thing I tell you about opening your mouth?
Yeah, you can't just be sitting around. It's not going to come to you if you're just sitting around and not saying anything.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to let people know what you want to do and what you're doing. And if they're the right type of mentor, they will remember that. But this is the most important thing that I tell people. And I'll tell you the reason why this happened for me. You have to prepare yourself for the moment.
Okay.
Because
Yes,
what I used to do when I first got to the job I was for a long time, I used to bring extra clothes with me. Because I started hearing about, after work people are going to go to this social event. But I was dressing in jeans because I was behind the scenes and stuff like that. But I would bring some extra clothes for me, and I would put those clothes on and go to the event like nothing happened. But that's how I met other people.
Yeah.
And people thought, who are you? Oh, I'm an editor for this network.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I want to get to know you. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I use that cachet to open doors for me to do other stuff. Now, my company is growing and thriving and doing things, and now people are calling me. The reason why I say you have to be ready for the moment, you know why? For example, I had no plans on going to college. I overheard my cousin and my best friend talk about going to college. I got in college probably the last 20 days before registration ended.
I didn't know that.
Period. Because I had no plans. Nobody told me anything. Nobody said, go do this.
Yeah.
I got in, and then I almost flunked out. 0.98 grade point average. Because I was trying to do everything. Run around. Then somebody said, settle down. Figure out what you want to do. And do it and put the work in. Then I made the honor roll every day since then. So I would stay after classes at the radio station by myself sometimes, just working on my craft, working on my voice, working on editing stuff. Call came in from the biggest station in Houston. We need somebody to do the teleprompter. Who was there? I said, I know you're a young person, you probably want to party on the weekend, but this is a Saturday and a Sunday night job. I said, I'll take it. Now, people would say, you were making now this is back in the 80s now.
Yeah.
So I was making $130 every 2 weeks. So for those 2 days, which was enough to sustain me while I was in college. It was fine with me. But I wasn't looking at it like that. I'm in the business now. Now I can maneuver my way around. So if I hadn't gotten that job, it wouldn't have led to the job at the competition station, which if I hadn't taken that job, because I kept asking the guy who was at the main station, the first station, hey, could I have a job? I can do this. He said, no, we're going to go with somebody else. So I left that station and went to the competition. Got a job. Almost got fired the night that I started because I went out with the production crew. And they didn't come back until late. Another angel, the producer said, I got you. I'm an editor. I picked up some of the stuff for you already. I know you're new here, but we can't let this happen again. Never let it happen again. But see, I could have got fired there, right? So, and I'm leading up to something. So all of my buddies who were a little older than me would say, we're going to go to the National Association of Black Journalists and take our reels. I said, well, maybe I'll take my reel. I don't know what y'all doing. I'm cool in Houston. I ain't never leave Houston. So I took my reel. Who got the first job? Me. At the network in New York. I'm going like, what? 33 years later, I was still there, thriving and doing things and winning an award. Because I always applied myself. And I'm saying all this to say that you can't wait till the job is offered to you. You have to prepare yourself for if there's something that's coming. And if you want to be a podcaster, an editor, a producer, a director, you have to start hanging out with directors. We didn't have none of this.
Yeah.
YouTube wasn't even thought of. But now you can wake up tomorrow morning and do your own show.
Yeah.
That's why I tell kids, they say, well, I want to go work for ABC, CBS, NBC. I say, how many of those people you think they're going to walk away from the job? These people are making $5-10 million a year. They're going to just walk away and say, oh, Vhannah, you know what? You want this job? Take it. No, not going to happen.
That's true.
If, first of all, if I tell them all the time, I say, if that happened, say if you take Gayle King, if she said, I don't want to do this anymore, you think they're going to, even if they said, Vhannah, come in, you're going to be the new Gayle King.
I would not be prepared.
You would not be prepared. You would flop.
So tell us about Black Boy Genius.
So Black Boy Genius, I woke up about, right before the pandemic, about 2.5 years ago now, I guess. God said, I want you to start this clothing line. Me, clothing line? I don't even dress well. I just throw stuff on. Now I need you to start this clothing line for a purpose. So he said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to call it Black Boy Genius. And this is your premise. Is to get young black and brown boys to think beyond sports and music.
Okay.
To start using their intellectual brain to do stuff. Maybe you love football. You don't have to play football to be part of football. You can be an announcer. You can be an analyst. You can be a statistician. You can be somebody involved. You can be a coach. You can do all of those things, but now you're using your mind.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to go into sports, what about inventing something? Most of the things that are put out today are given to once it's given to black and brown folks, they blow it up into a stratosphere. So I'm trying to say, with using this clothing line, to say, how do we teach our kids not to be consumers of this stuff, blow it up and make everybody else billionaires? How do we take that technology and create something for ourselves now? We all know Twitter is kind of in trouble.
Yeah.
Why isn't there some kid out there saying, how do I make the next Twitter? We know Facebook has become passe because old people are on there and young people don't want to be on there with old people. So why isn't somebody saying, there's an opportunity? You see all this equipment here?
Yeah.
This costs thousands of dollars. We have to respect each other. Like when I walked into your podcast today, what did I say? I'm talented.
You definitely did. And you said it over and over and over.
Because you have to respect, this is your set.
Yes.
You're the boss of this set, not me. I may be able to say, oh, can you do this or can you move that around? But at the end of the day, I'm a guest in your house.
That's true.
And that's what mentoring is about, because that way I'm teaching you how to control your intellectual property. Not letting somebody else who's older coming in telling you, just do it. Not that you won't take advice now, but you don't let anybody hijack. And I'll tell one more story, because I know you say, Charles, you got a story for everything.
You do have a story.
But this is this is another Roland Martin type story.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so fantastic when I think back on it. I was working with this kid at the church. He came to me and said, I want to do, not a podcast, this podcast really wasn't the thing then.
Okay.
He just wanted to do an online radio show about gospel music, and he wanted to interview gospel artists. So one day he was sitting in my house, and he was saying, and I was going like, well, you should do this, and that. He said, Mr. Williams, excuse me. Nothing for nothing. I don't need you to change my dream. I need you to help me build my dream. I already know what I want to do. I just don't know how to do it.
Okay.
First, I got offended. And I said, then I thought about it. You're absolutely right. From that point on, I never let anybody hijack my dream. Those are the lessons you learn from young people if you listen to young people with a purpose and they know what they want to do. Because I tell people all the time, young people are brilliant.
You do so.
Brilliant. If you listen. Now, sometimes y'all knuckleheads, don't get me wrong.
You say that too.
Sometimes y'all, what the hell y'all talking about? I go, oh Lord, here we go. Okay, you're going to walk into that black hole and die.
Oh my gosh.
But that's life for you. I'm in business with another young man who has a technology business. He heard me on the phone talking to somebody, giving all this advice to this person. He said, Mr. Williams, and I was very offended at first. He said, Mr. Williams, I am 24 years old. If I live as long as you, I'm going up the hill. You are going down the hill.
Wow.
Now, that's offensive at first, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about it, he's absolutely right. At that point, I think I was 57, I think.
Okay.
That means I've lived a lot of my life.
Okay.
Even if I live to 100, I've lived more than I probably would live to 100, right? Those are the things you have to take that God will, when they say out of the mouths of babes, you have to listen to what other young people are saying. That's why I love sitting down talking to young people. Just, okay, I understand, I got you. And then I go back and think, like these phrases y'all have now, I'm going, oh my God, it just tickles my soul to hear some of this stuff. I go, that is so cool.
Well, that is true. I have always appreciated that with you. I feel like it's not like, I feel like some older folks sometimes, it just feels like, I think they're just letting young people talk. I always appreciated that you listen and you take it with you, and kind of like us, I feel like if you really want to learn, you'll take what, your mentor gives you, and you apply it where you can. And I feel like you kind of do the same with your mentees. I think you take it and you apply it where you can.
That's all I do.
Yeah.
And like, this was great.
I was going to say, is there anything else you want to leave with my vital Vhannahs?
Nope. I just want all young people to push the rock forward. Do something every day to fulfill your dream. Don't wait on the dream to come to you, because it's not coming. Nobody's knocking on the door.
If only life was like that.
You have to open up the door.
Uh-huh.
And if that door closes, guess what? You go to the back door and open up the back door. The back door closes, guess what you do? You open up the window.
Oh, I was going to say the side door.
The window closes? Let me see if they got a chimney.
Okay. You find all resources.
All perfect. I like that. Look at you being brilliant.
Look, I'm learning.
Being the superstar you were born to be. Because what did Dorothy tell? What did the Good Witch tell Dorothy?
Well, I don't know. What Dorothy said?
I always say this. Two movies I live by. The Good Witch said, Dorothy, you always had the power to go home. You just didn't know it.
The Wizard of Oz.
Click your heels 3 times to take your butt home. What did they say in A Wonderful Life?
That I don't know. I was never into one.
Every life touches another life.
That is true.
And those are the 2 movies I live by. And the 10% rule. You know what the 10% rule is?
What's that?
When something good happens for you, you find a way to do 10% good for somebody else.
Pay it forward.
Play it forward.
Well, that was good. Thank you for coming, Charles. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you took away some encouragement, and follow your dreams, guys. Stick around, as the next few weeks I'm going to have some great episodes for y'all, and I'm really, really, really hoping that you guys like them. Been out.